We'll call to order the City of Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for Thursday, April 28th. And we'll ask at this time for our invocation to be done. The pastor is here. Worship and Operations, Pastor Terry G. Pearman of Beulah Baptist Church.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, it's an honor for me to be here with you today. If you would please stand. I bring you greetings from our church, Beulah Baptist Church. Thank you so much for your service that you do here. Good to see all of you today. If I may read a scripture, please. God's holy word tells us in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 7, it says, "Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare you will have welfare." So I'd like to pray for our city and for our council tonight. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, I come to you now in the precious name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And Lord, I first of all just like to thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, who you sent into this world to die on a cross for our sins. Thank you, Father, that you are even mindful of us, that you allow us, Father, to be a part of what's going on. And God, I just pray for our city of Douglasville. I just thank you for these, Father, that are before me that serve you. God, I just pray your blessings upon them. God, I just pray that you will give them wisdom. Give them direction, Father. Give them very clear direction, Father, in the way our city should go. And I just pray, Father, for your protection. God, so many cruel things going on in this world. And I just pray, Father, in the name and through the power of the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ, that you would build up a hedge of protection around our fair city to protect us from the evil that is in this world. Thank you, Father, for all those, not just these, but all of our city workers, Father, that serve you. Bless them, Father. Protect them, our policemen, our firemen, all of our workers, Father. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present your name here before this, the name that is above every name. We love you. Thank you so much for loving us. Bless this meeting here tonight, for it is in the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Pastor Paramore. Mayor Pro Tem, the Pledge Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Before we have our seats, I apologize, council members, I would ask that if you wouldn't mind, if you would go into the front and have a seat so that we can watch the presentation of the annual State of the City address. I'm going to sit out there. Hello, my name is Rochelle Robinson. I'm Mayor of the City of Douglasville, and this is the state of the city in my first 100 days. To the members of the Douglasville City Council, those who own or do business in Douglasville, and to all the citizens of this great city, it is an honor to briefly share with you the state of our city. I say briefly because I've only been in office for over 100 days. Yet, I believe this is an opportune time to assure you that our city is right where we need to be at this point. To put this in perspective, in his first 100 days, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt set out to put an end to the Great Depression that was thought to be caused by the policies of his predecessor, Herbert Hoover. When FDR took office in 1933, he immediately addressed the effects of the Depression, focusing on getting Americans back to work, protecting their savings and creating prosperity, providing relief for the sick and the elderly, and getting industry and agriculture back on its feet. Thankfully, the city is not dealing with an aftermath of the Great Depression, and we are not the federal government, so our report will be quite a different story, one which holds the promise of a bright future. While we think of topics such as budgets, economic development, public safety, and making Douglasville an ideal place to live, work, play, and stay, this is not a solo project. It will take the work of all of us, every single citizen of the Douglasville area, in order for us, the citizens, to succeed. First, I want to thank the Douglasville City Council, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, and other elected officials for fostering a climate conducive to progress and success. Working with you to create a culture of cooperation, respect, and responsibility has already begun. I have great hope that we can work together to do the work of the people of the city and the county. It is refreshing that there has been no I's and little U's. We have worked comfortably together for the betterment of our community without grandstanding, flexing our muscles, or being closed-fisted and closed-minded. As President Harry S. Truman is quoted as saying, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." I also want to thank our wonderful and valuable staff. I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting with the city manager weekly and directors of each department quarterly, a goal we set at the Mayor and City Council's retreat in January. Directors, during the first quarterly meetings, I was inspired and impressed by your professionalism, commitment, and enthusiasm with which you updated me on the actions of your departments. You represent the city well, as do all the fine employees with whom you work. It has been my pleasure to get to know each of you, and I'm proud of you. We are a dynamic team. And I want to thank you, the citizens of the city of Douglasville, for your continued involvement and dedication. Many of you give your time and service through the excellent level of work and the time you donate to several boards and commissions. At an appreciation breakfast we held a few days ago to honor our volunteers, we tried to show our thanks for the countless hours that we know you could be using in some other capacity. Our theme, Better Together, said it all. We are infinitely better when we work together to make Douglasville a city worth living in. Again, we thank you for your support, and to those who offer an encouraging word when I see you on the streets, at Walmart, at the mall, at Publix grocery store, thank you. Now let's get to the business at hand, the state of the city. The truth is, it has been a whirlwind of activity these last 100 days. But I stand before you with confidence as I report that the city of Douglasville is on solid ground. There are many indicators that lead me to this conclusion, but I have chosen to only highlight 5 examples to illustrate my point. The topics I will talk about are finance, communications and technology, public safety, community development, and economic development. I will begin with finances. Finance. Everyone wants to know that the city they live in is fiscally sound and responsible. So I'm happy to report that the city of Douglasville is in good financial standing. We are currently finishing up the fiscal year 2016 budget, which ends June 30th, and are in the process of preparing the budget for fiscal year 2017. Each department head met with City Manager Marcia Hampton and Finance Director Karen Callan during the week of March 28th, and will have one more round of meetings with them before a balanced budget is presented to the City Council in a day-long workshop on Wednesday, May 11th. A public hearing for the citizens of Douglasville is tentatively set for Thursday, June 16th, and the budget is expected to be presented to the City Council for adoption on Thursday, June 20th. An overview of the current general fund, the largest portion of a handful of funds in the city budget, predicted revenues in the 2015-2016 budget of $26,981,754. The monies come from license and permits, $2,088,250. Charges for services, $1,684,854. Fines and forfeitures, $1,606,500. Investment income, $5,000. Taxes and other small revenues and financing sources. Of the total revenues received by the city, 79%, $21,381,500 comes to the city through taxes. As you might have guessed, Property taxes generate more revenue than any other taxes. They account for 33% of all taxes received into the city's coffers. A total of $7,125,095. Sales taxes were estimated to bring in 30%, or $6,410,387 in revenue. This year, however, sales taxes were lower than expected, but through no fault of our own. Last year, we did not anticipate that gas prices would drop so low. So our sales taxes are trending downward as a result of the lower gas prices. The good news is that at the same time, revenues from building permits are up from the prior year, due primarily to a distribution warehouse on Riverside Parkway, which has generated $100,000 in permits this year. A recap of expenses drawn from the general fund for the last budget year shows that public safety receives the largest portion of revenues at 35%, or $9,406,157. General government, which includes administrative services and salaries, comprises 32%, or $8,687,839 of the revenues. Cultural and recreation, debt services, public works, housing and development, and judicial account for the other 33% of expenses. Of those, cultural and recreation and debt services made up 20% of the general fund expenses. At 8%, the debt service is mainly for the cost of the Public Safety Administration building, but the city will be looking at refinancing the bonds for this building during this budget cycle. In addition, we will look at conducting a feasibility study on the sanitation and maintenance building and the financing for it. Many will have questions about our cultural and recreation expenses as they relate to West Pines Golf Course, of which voters approved renovations in the 2002 SPLOST. I will not address West Pines at this time. Please know that discussions are being held, and at some point a report will be made. But I have been in office for only 100 days. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the future of West Pines cannot be resolved or settled in this first 100 days. West Pines is a great asset to the city for green space and recreation, and it is a work in progress. Under finance, there is one other point I would like to touch upon. You have likely heard talk about the possibility of a joint special purpose local option sales tax, SPLOST referendum. City and county government leaders are in a positive working relationship and have held early discussions on projects that could be included should the referendum be approved by the voters of the city and the county in November. The city has plans to hold a SPLOST town hall meeting on Tuesday, May the 10th at 6:30. For those interested in attending and offering input, please attend if you are available at 6:30 p.m. on May 10th. As it relates to finances, I want to reiterate, we are in good financial standings, in a good place overall, and the city is financially sound. Thank you, Karen Callan, and your staff for the great work that you've done. Now we have tackled one big ticket item. Let's move on to our second topic, communications and technology. Since we believe that an informed citizen is an educated citizen, the Communications Department's mission is to provide constituents with information that is timely, precise, accurate, and accessible. One way we're doing this is by embracing the use of advancing technology and delivering methods, which is a priority for the department this year. We are excited about the city's redesigned website, douglasvillega.gov, which is expected to launch late spring or early summer of this year. It will feature a fresh, clean homepage layout with a responsive, interactive design that will have the capability to interface with mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets, making access to quality information and online services readily available to all those on the go. I want to thank the Communications Director, Kelly Hunter, Chris Dixon, and the entire team who have worked hard to make this redesign possible. Some of you regularly watch city council meetings, which are filmed, archived, uploaded, and broadcast courtesy of the Communications Department. For those who haven't watched or don't know where to find us, the meetings are broadcast on Comcast Channel 22, Tributaries Channel 48, City TV's YouTube channel, which is mycitytv.com, and on our website. I want to point out that the YouTube channel, mycitytv.com, holds analytical support which reflects that over 200,000 viewers have clicked on the broadcast content they produce and uploaded programming on a regular basis. These statistics suggest that people want to know what's going on in their local government, and our commitment to you is to bring to our citizens this open, transparent form of governing. We will continue to use social media on a daily basis to push notifications and distribute information. You may have already noticed that several of the city's departments engage with our public through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest accounts. We encourage this exchange of information and are doing everything we can to keep you informed. Public safety. Last month, my office received an email from a website announcing that the city of Douglasville is one of the 50 safest cities in Georgia. If this is true, and I have every reason to believe that it is, we can only give credit to the work of the City of Douglasville's Police Department and Chief Gary Sparks. The city continues to invest in and support the concept of community-oriented policing, and the police department has developed many programs that facilitate this. A couple of weeks ago, Chief Sparks and Deputy Chief Sue Ann Shaw presented the Douglasville Police Department's quarterly report before the City Council, wherein they reiterated the department's commitment to working with and being part of the community. Chief Sparks said, "We want to let the community know that we are one with the community." He went on to say that too often, in social and other media, police officers are depicted as us against them or us against the community. Instead, the Douglasville Police Department is working together with the community to fight crime and social disorder by interacting with the community through programs for people of all ages. He and Deputy Chief Sue Ann Shaw are doing an excellent job in leading the department. Our nationally recognized Youth Against Violence program continues its work with at-risk teens to educate them on the many pitfalls they may experience, but also to teach behaviors that breed successful habits that will last them throughout their lives. In the Douglasville Community Outreach Program, DCOP, the chief and other officers go out into the community to meet citizens one-on-one in a non-adversarial manner, even giving citizens an opportunity to ride along with police officers to see what being a police officer entails. The police department has held valuable training sessions over the last few months, such as the active shooter class, which advises what to do in the event that any of us comes face to face with a gunman, especially in a public setting like the workplace or shopping center. We're looking for a few good men and women to join the police department. Of the 101 total full and part-time certified police officers positions allotted, 97 are filled. The department is interested in having a diverse force of officers that will reflect the demographics of our community. Currently, there are 81 male, 16 female employees, comprised of Caucasian officers, African Americans, and Hispanics. The good news is that the department is actively recruiting through the city's website, newspapers, social media, churches, and faith-based organizations, and at career fairs on college campuses, and is in the process of advertising through radio commercials. In the first 3 months of 2016, the department has made 793 arrests and issued 2,833 citations and 525 warnings. In the last month alone, the Special Operations Division has had 4 search warrants served, made 15 arrests, and recovered 10 handguns, 4 of which were in the hands of convicted felons. The police department is still analyzing the various types of body cameras and trying to find the best fit for the agency before making this major purchase. They are also keeping abreast of emerging technology and how to use it to fight crime more effectively. This includes the purchase of gang intelligence software with the District Attorney's Office and the Douglas County Sheriff's Office to fight against gang-related crimes. The chief recently held a West Georgia information sharing session in the city of Douglasville, which included the Atlanta Police Department and the GBI. In the next few months, the focus will be on summer crimes, juvenile complaints, residential burglaries, entering autos, and code violations. Thank you, officers, for the work that you do to keep us safe, and thank you to the other essential employees who work in the police department and municipal courts. We appreciate your dedication. The department maintains a great working relationship with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office through the Joint Fine, Felony, Interception, and Narcotics Detection Unit, which operates on Interstate 20 to intercept illegal drugs transported, and with the Major Case Unit based in the Sheriff's Office and staffed with personnel from both agencies. I want to thank Chief Gary Sparks and Douglas County Sheriff Phil Miller on their collaborative efforts to make Douglasville and Douglas County a safe place to live. I would be remiss if I didn't applaud the services that the Douglas County Fire Department, E911, and the county's Emergency Management Agency provides for the citizens of Douglasville. Thank you. Our final 2 topics are community development and economic development. In community development, in the last 3 months, we have seen positive signs that the economy is rebounding. So we move forward with a spirit of encouragement and optimism. From January through March, we have issued 41 permits for single-family homes within the city, an astonishing increase of over 300% from this same time last year. With this increase, the city is committed and focuses on ensuring that we are able to provide an adequate and diverse range of housing options in the city of Douglasville. On the commercial side, the city received clear title to the 7-acre old mill site along Broad Street, a process that took nearly 5 years to complete. The City Council recently heard presentations from 4 developers on potential use of the old cotton mill to build affordable housing for our senior population. The interest from the community was not only inspiring, it sparked an important dialogue on housing that needs to be addressed. And while we decided not to move forward with the plans that were proposed, the city agreed with the recommendation from the city manager, Marcia Hampton, to seek the services of a consultant who could help direct the city in determining the best and highest use for this property. Still, it opened the door for us to discuss housing for our future, and we anticipate having more in-depth conversations with public officials and the community about these housing options. I want to thank those who came out and voiced their opinions. This process will undoubtedly be ongoing throughout this year and next, and the city will continue to explore ways to maximize the old mill site and turn it once again into a source of pride for the city of Douglasville. Another focus is our effort to recruit and retain volunteers. We are building our volunteer base back up, and we need you. We are looking for good citizens who would like to partner with us by serving on city boards or commissions. We held a volunteer fair on Tuesday, April 19th, to give citizens a look at the various boards and an opportunity to serve on them. Representatives of each board were on hand to provide information about the services they provide to the city and to obtain contact information from those who might be interested and willing to be part of them. If you missed it and you still have a desire to serve, we'll be happy to take your information. Thank you, Jonathan Lynn, our Community Development Director, for your work in leading this department. During our retreat in January, we discussed other ways to develop our community, such as developing a long-term plan for the old conference center. assessing the feasibility of acquiring the property adjacent to Jesse Davis Park, conducting an inventory and analysis of neighborhood streets to develop priority lists for resurfacing, working with Keep Douglasville Beautiful to develop a list of public and private improvement projects, and developing and adopting a failed subdivision ordinance. Moving on to my last item, which is economic development. One item under economic development could have a major impact on the downtown Douglasville area if it comes to fruition. Not long ago, a hotel feasibility study was commissioned to assess the practicality of locating a hotel in the downtown Douglasville area. This is a critical first step towards attracting a lodging establishment that would coincide with the services provided by locations like the Douglasville Conference Center and the diverse programs that are hosted in our downtown area throughout the year. The results of this study will be revealed on May 2nd. The City of Douglasville is working with the Douglas County Development Authority to partner and better manage our resources collectively. This was one of my campaign promises, so over the next several months, we will continue to work on and develop a relationship to see what that looks like, combining our development authorities with the county, but keeping the city's development authority for special projects. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone who has worked tirelessly and unselfishly to get us to this point in my administration in these first 100 days. While it has been a learning curve in many ways, I am as optimistic as ever that Douglasville is a great city, that it is on the brink of something even greater. All indications are that we are headed in the right direction and on the right track to make this community, our community, a premier place to live, work, play, and stay. It takes all of us to do this. As I have said before, I have a spirit of cooperation as I realize that no man is an island. We are so much stronger together than we are apart. Throughout this report, I have used the word committed several times. On behalf of the City Council, City Manager, City employees, and myself as Mayor of this great city, we are committed to providing the highest level of excellence and service to our employer, you, the community. On that note, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to make this report to you, and thank you for your attention. May God bless you, your families, our servicemen and women, our community, the City of Douglasville, and United States of America. God bless you. Okay. We will go now to announcements and the presentations, which we've already seen, the state of the city, and we'll move on to general information on how things are going to be held tonight. If you would please keep your comments to a minimum, please silence your technology devices, your telephones and tablets and all of that to silent mode, and no outburst, please, and no personal attacks. If you would like to give comments on agenda items, there is a form outside, and you should fill that form out and give it to our city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker, before you speak, and give your name and address for the record, and you are permitted then to come and speak to the mayor and council at that time. Okay, we'll move on to Public Safety Committee. Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Yaki.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development. The committee chairperson is Councilman Mark Adams. Apologize.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We
Yes,
have
sir.
several items tonight under Community and Economic Development. The first is to appoint 2 candidates to the City of Douglasville's Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term starting February 1st, 2016 and ending January 31st, 2019. Ms. Hampton, is there any other discussion we need to have?
No, sir. The only other comment I would make is just to make certain, just to remind you that there are 2 individuals who are currently serving, wishing to be reappointed, and then you interviewed a new candidate, and then just to make certain that you have comments from your colleagues so that you can make those appointments on Monday.
Thank you very much for that comment. We did have an extensive discussion and interviews tonight in our committee meetings, and we will bring that up on Monday night and have two new appointees to that board. Next item is appoint one individual to post 3 of the City of Douglasville's Development Authority expiring July 23rd, 2018, and one individual to post 6 of the City of Douglasville's Development Authority expiring July 23rd, 2016. This is another one of those situations, Ms. Hampton, jump in at any time. I know that post 6 is a position which would just be finishing up a term of someone who has resigned off that board.
That is correct, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the only other thing I would add is just to keep in mind those candidates that you previously interviewed for the Water and Sewer Authority. So again, if you would, please pass along your comments to Councilman Adams, so again, that he can make that nomination and his motion on Monday to be ratified.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'm sorry I wasn't including you all. I apologize. Anything else wanted to be said about that discussion that we've had in our committee meetings? Okay. Next item is authorize the Community and Development Services Department to submit a Green Community Certification application to the Atlanta Regional Commission with a deadline of May 26, 2016. Mr. Lynn, you going to handle that?
Yes, sir. We spoke with you guys at the committee meeting on March the 31st regarding this item. 4 years ago in 2012, the city was fortunate enough to receive the bronze level certification as a green community from the ARC. Well, now it's time for our recertification, and as you can see from your packet, we did a self-score, and it looks like if we get the points that we believe that we should get, we would actually move up to silver certification this year. That application, as you can tell, is due on May 26th of this year, and we would just like the authorization to submit that again.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? That will come up on our Monday night meeting, this coming Monday night in our voting meeting. I appreciate that information, Mr. Lynn. Thank you. Is there any reason why we could not request that to be on the consent agenda? Okay, could we place that on the consent agenda, please? Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Item D, adopt a resolution establishing an environmentally preferable and recycled paper purchasing policy for the city as part of the city's participation in the Green Communities Program. This is an extension of that, I would assume.
Yes, sir. By implementing certain policies, we get additional points on the application, and this would be one of those policies where the city commits, if at all possible, we look at purchasing recycled paper that has a certain number of components that you're able to do. And if you just to look, it's actually a very easy process. If you look at Staples or Office Max, they have a button when you search for anything that says check for eco-friendly products, and that will give us a list. We did actually run this by the finance department to make sure that it wouldn't violate any sort of procurement guidelines that we already have in place, and they have signed off on it as well.
Okay. Any question concerning that discussion? Could we also place this on the consent agenda for Monday? Thank you very much. Last item, approve a resolution for the city to sponsor the 2016 Wednesday Wind Down Concert Series, specifying performance dates, approved performers, and performer compensation. Ms. Hampton?
Councilman Adams, Jonathan Lynn will also come up, and Councilman Davis will be able to speak on this item as well. If you recall, you recessed your committee meetings, and this is one of the final items that you have to discuss. Just to briefly cover, since we'll go into more detail when we reconvene committee meetings, this resolution basically details the Wednesday Wind Down program for the summer. That starts in June and ends in August. It will also detail out all of the artists as well as Councilman Davis's involvement in the event, which is sponsored by the Main Street program. So that's the general gist of the resolution that you have before you.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
Yes, sir. Our city manager pretty much summed it up. And I would just point out that the amount that the performers are paid is a budgeted amount that we have in our budget every year to pay these performers for the Wednesday Wind Down concert series.
How much is that, Mr. Lynn? And
It's in the resolution. It varies. We budget right at $5,000 every year for the performances, and these performances line up right to that amount.
So that is split between all of those weeks?
That is correct.
That's the total aggregate amount.
And the city will enter into a contract with each performer and do the W-9 and pay that performer.
Yes,
yes.
I understand. Okay.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, go ahead,
And
Mr. Davis.
this is going in the 7th year of free services. I give my community service, and It has been a event where it had grown from 20 to almost 1,200, and we're going to have to find us an amphitheater somewhere. And the chief never had any incident. Chief, have you ever had an incident? No, sir. So it's a good event.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Appreciate your work, your hard work and dedication in that area all those years, and continued.
Let's thank John Shildroff, our former council member, for putting it together to bring people downtown during the week.
Any other comment? I apologize that we were not able to get to this in our committee meetings, and we will be adjourning out of our meeting tonight and back into committees to discuss this further. That's all that I have under that committee, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lynn.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Now we move on to Planning and Development Committee, and that is also chaired by Councilman Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a couple of items under Planning and Development. The first is to receive your nomination for the chairman of the City of Douglasville Zoning Board and consider appointing this individual to a vacant post for a 5-year term to expire June 1st, 2019.
Well, my nomination would be Mr. Martin Raxton. He interviewed for the WSA position. He lives in the City of Douglasville and Chapel Hill areas. He is a entrepreneur. He has his own technology company. Children that attended Douglas County High in the IB program, married, very nice gentleman, and really wants to serve the community. So he would be someone that I think is qualified for the position. He's interested in growth and interested in and wants to give his time to the city. So my recommendation will be Mr. Martin Raxton for your consideration to ratify on Monday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Then I will read then, we have received the mayor's nomination of Mr. Martin Raxton for chairman of the City of Douglasville Zoning Board and consider appointing this individual to that vacant post for a 5-year term to expire June 1st, 2019. And we will vote on that on Monday night, correct? Okay. Any other comment or question concerning that item? Okay. Last item, 22-16-09, was tabled from April 18th, 2016, and we are going to hold a public hearing and consider a request for special land use permit for a family personal care home, 2 to 6 individuals on 0.36 acres, zoned R2 single family detached residential district at 6182 Ellis Street in land lot 826, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 13, application made by Yusuf Samasi. And I would first make a motion that we take item 22-16-05 off the table.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to take item 22-16-09 from the table. All those in favor of removing this from the table, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it, so this item is removed from the table, and Mr. Chairman, we can move on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Then we will begin our public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak, and I see that we already have a young lady here at the podium to speak on behalf of this, whether for or against, please, when you come to the podium, if you decide to speak, need to make sure that you have filled out the green sheet for our clerk so that our video can have your name correct and so forth. And if you would, as you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record and let us know whether you're speaking for or against. Thank you, and go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Shantae Howes, representative of the Ellis Group Home for Boys, address 6182 Ellis Street in Douglasville, and vote for.
Okay. Any questions of this young lady concerning this? Any further information that you may have asked for or?
Yes, Chairman, were we able to get the correct definition of a family personal care home?
Littlefield, do you have any information on that item, on that question?
No, sir, I didn't know that was in question. It must have come up on the evening I was absent. Let me be ready on Monday night for that.
Okay. Continuing on, are there other comments or questions?
Sir, Mr. Chairman, will the owners, you just represent the owners, right?
Yes, I'm representing the owners. The director, I know that you all had requested her presence. However, her mother had a heart attack in New York, so she had to fly out, trying to get her mother south flighted back to Georgia on Saturday. They found a hospital that could accept her, so she can possibly be here on the next meeting. I think it was May the 2nd.
Thank you.
I'm also, I mentioned myself as being the business consultant, but I'm also down as support staff for the agency. My company provides all of the state mandated trainings outside of the CPR first aid and the CPI training because I'm not a licensed instructor to do so. However, we do provide, and we'll be providing support for the staff that would be at that agency. And just a little background or information on myself. Not only am I a business consultant, but I have also worked in this industry for 4.5 years. I oversaw 11 group homes throughout the state of Georgia, everything from setting up and starting the homes to operating the homes, filling in if we didn't have people to show up. So I do have experience in this field as well. Say Dr. Shantae Howes, I have a PhD in economic development. I also have a master's in Christian counseling, my bachelor's in psychology and sociology as well. So I do have not only the experience, but also have the degrees to back up my experience in this field.
So are you going to be managing? What's your involvement other than business consultant?
I'll also be the support staff for the agency, I apologize, as well as working with the director who is not able to be here tonight because of her mother being in the hospital in New York.
And what's the owner, Yusuf Zamasi, what is his role? I mean, he's the owner of the property. What's his involvement with this?
He is the owner of the property. He has a gentleman that actually resides here in Douglas County, which is Mr. Musa Ansari. He's his managing partner that actually lives locally here in Douglasville. That will also be working with the staff as kind of like the administrator, overseeing the HR or human resource side of the agency. Tyshawn Kingsbury, which is the one that's absent from tonight, she's a licensed master social worker. She'll be overseeing the day-to-day operations and the staff working directly with the children in the home.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, what kind of changes have been made or have to be made to the home in order for this group home to be used the way y'all want it to be used? I mean, is there any kind of structural changes or additions or anything like that that has to be done to the home?
No, sir, there aren't any modifications to the property. It's just like our home. We just basically providing a safe haven for the children that otherwise would be institutionalized or in a hotel setting. Right now, there are several agencies in the metro area that have hired staff just to sleep in hotel rooms with the children because they don't have placements. Our goal was to be able to put this home in Douglas County, in Douglasville area, to be able to keep our kids in the community. But there aren't any modifications to the home.
Are these local kids, will this home be servicing local kids to the community or be pulling kids from other areas and bringing them into the community?
Our contract is a state contract. However, we've already reached out to the Department of Family and Children Services locally here in Douglas County to be able to keep the kids in Douglas County versus sending them to other counties throughout the state.
Any other questions?
And what is the age group that's going to be in here?
The license is for ages 6 through 17. However, as stated before, we'll make certain that we keep the children in an appropriate age range. So I mentioned before and gave for example, we wouldn't have a 6-year-old in the house with a 17-year-old. So basically, as the referrals come in, we'll be able to review and determine if that child is appropriate for placement in the home or not. So it'll be, again, the license for ages 6 through 17, but we'll make certain that it's coupled with kids of similar characteristics and basically the same ages in that home.
That's boys and girls, correct?
No, the home is just a boys group home. There won't be any females in the home.
Well, that's somewhat surprising to me. I've not heard that mentioned until now. That's the first time that we've heard anything, that I recall having heard anything about it being for boys only. Let me ask a question. Just what if Family and Children Services calls you and says, we have these age young men or children, boys, that we need a place for? Who makes the decision? If they're the ones you're looking to supply you with tenants, so to speak, then who makes the decision that those are or are not proper?
The director makes the decision based on the characteristics of the children that would be taken into the program that through the policy and procedures that are submitted to the state.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the director that's not here, could you just share with us her expertise or her background? You may have shared some of that already, but maybe refresh my memory.
Yes, Tashawn Kingsbury is the director of the facility. She is a licensed master social worker. She has over about 25 years of experience working with people with psychological and/or behavior disorders. She is currently working with the dialysis clinics of the metro area as the overseer of the auditing aspect of those agencies with DaVita. And also, she's also worked in a group home for 3.5 years, overseeing the operations of such.
Other comments, questions? Yes.
I apologize. I was going to ask the ratio for staff versus how many boys in the facility.
The ratio is 2 to 6 residents in the home. And as mentioned
Mayor, I believe, Madam Mayor, are you not asking how many adult
Yes,
supervisors or people
there-
has to be working there per child, or what is that ratio? I think it's the
Two
question.
adults to 6 children.
2 to
Is that
6? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I got that confused with your application with 2 to 6 individuals. I apologize. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the actual property, but how many bedroom, what type of property is this?
It's a
residential home of how many bedrooms?
It's a single-family dwelling unit, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths.
So there'll be up to 6 boys living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Does the director stay there as well?
No, the director will not reside in the home. We have staff that will be there monitoring children 24 hours, 7 days a week. So they're required by state to document every 15 minutes on those residents are in the home. And again, all of the staff that will be working with the agency also have to go through the GBI fingerprinting coding process in order to work with the children. They also are CPR first aid trained, CPI trained as well, and all of the staff are required to have at least 24 hours of annual training by the state a year. In regards to the rooms, the state requires that the kids have at least 63 square feet of space each in terms of bedroom size, which is equivalent to about a twin-size bed in each room. So there'll be 2 residents per bedroom.
I think I remember when you spoke before that the children will be transported by staff to whatever school, depending on their age. So they'll be delivered and picked up, or ride the bus if they're going to the school that's nearby, or what. Like if you have, let's say you have a child that's maybe a teenager that's in the IB program at Douglas County High School. So in other words, educationally, these kids will go where it's best suited for them. How is that determined?
Yes, the children will attend public school just like any other children in the community. Our whole goal is to keep a family setting or type of environment, but the children will be transported by the staff to and from school as well.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just have a comment, and just a comment for our Assistant City Attorney, Susan Littlefield. When you're doing your research, is in the item, it's identified as a family personal care home, and under the Department of Community Health for Georgia, a personal care home is for adults. So I'm hearing different terminology. I'm hearing family personal care home, and I'm also hearing group home. And then in our last meeting, also heard the terminology that it would be foster children as well, contracted with the Department of Family and Children Services. So I just want to make sure that it is defined specifically of what type of services will be utilized for children at the age of 17, then they're considered an adult. Also, my last question to you prior to was, have you had an opportunity to speak with the fire marshal in regards to how many residents will be able to occupy the home? And I think at that time you said you had not been able to contact we had not been able to do that process prior to this, but that can be done prior to this. So have you been able to contact the fire marshal?
Okay. We have, again, utilized a state fire marshal, not necessarily one with the county, to actually do the walk through the property as a courtesy. I know that you mentioned the last time that we could utilize the county's fire marshal to do a walkthrough. We haven't been able to get in contact with that person. However, we did have a person that I know that I've worked with other agencies to actually do the walk through the property to give us the number of residents that could be in that property.
And how many residents did the I guess volunteer person, how many residents were approved to be in the property?
He told us 6.
6.
Yes.
I would definitely, just from my experience, working with group homes, family, personal care home, that the fire marshal in this area, in the city of Douglasville, because you will reside, if approved in the city of Douglasville, will need to walk through that property and make sure not only the amount of residents that will be able to reside, but also to make sure that you have the proper exit doors and everything else as it falls suits in relations to fire safety.
And may I also address your definition issue, because we've kind of had this before with other county and zoning offices in terms of the conflict between what the county and city zoning ordinance says in regards to what the home is classified as versus the state. This program actually falls under Department of Human Services as a child caring institution. And that's their definition, is basically group homes for children, independent living transitional programs, second chance maternity programs, anything working with children between the ages of 6 through 17 and even young adults between the ages of 18 and 21 are classified as child caring institutions versus the personal care homes.
Right. So I'm sure our city assistant attorney will find that definition to make sure it is specifically stated in what you're looking for so that we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not foster children anymore. It isn't, Mr. Chairman, is it? Our last meeting, didn't we say?
I'm totally confused because if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Littlefield told us, and correct me if I'm wrong, that our definition of a family personal care home did not differentiate between children and adults. Is that correct, Ms. Littlefield? Was that our ordinance?
Well, Michelle talked with you
I'm
last
sorry.
time, I believe.
Okay. Is that what we came to consensus on in our last meeting? I know we're prolonging this, and I want to get to others.
We're just concerned.
But we just want to make sure that we've covered it.
What I had in our last meeting was our definition of a personal care home. We had a definition, and then under that definition, we went by the numbers that were in the home. And our definition was a dwelling, whether operated for profit or not, which undertakes through its ownership or management to provide or arrange for the provision of housing, food service, and one or more personal care services for 2 or more persons who are not related to the owner or administrator by blood or marriage. And then it goes on that we have family personal care home, 2 to 6 people group personal care home, 7 to 12, and congregate personal care home, 13 or more persons.
But that does not address the ages.
No, it does not.
Thereby, that is, I think, the confusing point that you're mentioning, Councilwoman Burdett. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on behalf of this application?
I've got
another question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead.
That's okay. I just wondered why or what brought y'all to this individual home in the area. What made y'all come to this particular point to do the group home?
Answer?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Youssef, and as I mentioned, Mr. Musa, that actually resides here in Douglasville. The property had been sitting vacant for some time, and it had been something that they've been pondering on doing for some years. And I actually met the person that referred them to me by doing a state training over in Decatur. So at that time, we connected and we looked at the property, and they, basically shared with me what they wanted to do. Matter of fact, Musa, the one who lives here in Douglasville, his son was murdered by Six Flags, which then kind of made even more sense for him to want to do something in the community to save our children. His son was actually murdered the first part of this year off of Six Flags Drive, but he didn't stop. It was, I still wanted to be able to save kids in the community because by history, from what he's understanding now, these young people had involvement in the juvenile justice system as well as the foster care system with the state. But again, it was something that they had been pondering on and wanting to do. Property had been sitting empty. It was like, okay, what can I do with this home? Well, this is what I can do. I can save the young people in our community, provide a loving, supportive environment, making certain kids get what they need, the services that they need within our community. Again, even though it's a state contract, our goal was to target young people that were living in Douglas County.
I just have one last question. Is there any provision made for them, their potential spiritual needs? In other words, is church offered, or if they have that kind of background, how is that handled and what you're doing?
Essentially, it is a state contract per se. We do offer spiritual development, spiritual enlightenment with our kids. We just can't impose religion on them, but that is part of our program, that they are allowed to attend churches in the community. And our whole goal is to actually diversify it. So we'll visit a Baptist church, we may visit a mosque, we may visit different types of religious settings, so the kids can kind of have that experience. However, we can't mandate that church be a part of their everyday life per se.
Any other questions of council? Thank you very much. Is there anyone else again that would like to speak on behalf of this? And if not, is there anyone here that would like to speak against this? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our public hearing on this item, and we will take this up on Monday night for a vote. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. And that's all that I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee, and that is chaired by Councilman Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no items tonight.
Thank you, sir. Item 9 is Finance Committee. That is chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Larayaki.
Yes, I have one item. Enact a resolution declaring as surplus and authorize the sale at auction of certain city-owned vehicles and items of personal property.
We'll go into further detail on that item on Monday night, but Ms. Littlefield may have just one or two comments on it, but you will have an opportunity to discuss it on Monday night at 5 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much. If then, so no more discussion on that, that's all I have for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. 10 is Information and Technology Committee, and that is Chairman Richard Siegel.
Madam Mayor, Information Technology Committee offers sincerest apologies for the technology issues we had this evening. Other than that, no other business.
Thank you, sir. Maintenance and Sanitation Committee, and that is chaired by Councilman Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Transportation Committee, and that is chaired by Councilmember LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no items under transportation.
Thank you, ma'am. Personnel and Organization Committee, that's chaired by Councilman Mike Miller.
Again, Madam Mayor, we have no business under Personnel and Organization Committee.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance is an intergovernmental committee, and that is chaired by Councilmember LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No items under ordinances and intergovernmental committees.
Thank you, ma'am. Education and Training Committee, and that is chaired by Councilman Samuel Davis.
Madam Mayor, no items at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other business from council members?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank all of the staff members who made it possible to have the Ward 5 City Council 911 Town Hall meeting last week. I couldn't have done it without any of you. We had a great turnout. I was surprised at the number of people who showed up, and surprised to see clips of it in the video as we were watching this morning. And I also want to thank the city manager for allowing us the opportunity to meet with city employees at her staff meetings that she has, including the police department early this morning and back on Monday as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Now, thank you to Councilman Siegel. He and I were we were there at 5:45 on Tuesday and today. So thank you so much for meeting with us and the city manager at our quarterly meeting with the police department. We'll move on to City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business.
Thank you, Attorney Dotson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, Chief Gary Sparks.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to thank you and Councilman Siegel and the city manager for coming out to the Douglasville Police Department at 5:45 a.m. and speaking to the men and women of the department. They were very grateful for you all coming out and answering the questions that they had to ask, and they know that you all have worked hard to try to answer the questions that were asked by them. And so again, we want to thank you all, and it's been a great 100 days, even though the technology did not show that. But to you and the council, we really appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, Chief. We'll keep on moving with the city manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
All right, I'll apologize again. Those who know, I do strive for perfection, so I don't definitely any of you, Madam Mayor, making certain that our goal is to make certain that you look good, that you provide the information that you need to the citizens. And when we don't achieve that, that's very disappointing. So I can promise you that we will be working hard to make certain that that does not happen in the future. That is not the standard that we want to set. We want to make certain that what you deliver is being heard by the citizens. And as I mentioned, it is available on YouTube. It is available on the city's website. So I will encourage those who have the opportunity to go out and to make certain that they do view it. And again, my sincerest apologies. Just to remind you about meeting tomorrow at 9:45. For those who are coming along with us, Mr. Roberts will be here to transport us over to Carrollton. We do have 5 o'clock meetings on Monday, so we have a packed agenda again. So Councilman Adams will again be taking primary lead. I know he enjoys that so much. But I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and thanks again.
Thank you, ma'am. Comments from citizens and delegates? And I know there's a petition to rename Red Field at Hunter Park to Phillips Field.
Yes, Bennett Oliver, 3490 Hearthstone Place, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I am just going to introduce, I'm not going to speak. This group came to me probably around 4 months ago, wanting to rename a field out at Hunter Park after Taylor Phillips. We do have some of the family members here tonight, and so I'm going to call on Jennifer Langley, and she's going to give you a little information about Taylor. And I've got her sheet.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. As my son Tanner's handing out, he's handing out just some memorabilia from my Uncle Taylor. Taylor Phillips was born here in Douglas County. His sister Betty Mae Waldrop, as many of you may know, served her whole entire career for the county. And this is her brother. He had a very long, lustrous career in baseball. He was drafted. He played high school baseball here for Douglas County High School and was a pitcher, and his brother Calvin Phillips was actually his catcher. So a long history here in Douglas County, and he still serves as a legend to me and to many people in this community. He went on to play for the Milwaukee Braves and won a World Series in 1957. They beat the New York Yankees. And I think there's a program, too, that lists some of the players that he played against, like Yogi Berra, Frank Torrey. I mean, he's played with legends. Hank Aaron is his buddy. And I tell my son, Uncle Taylor could call Hank Aaron up right now if he wanted to. But he's just such an icon to myself. His family's sitting back there on the back row, too. And to have a field at Hunter Park where I grew up, my dad was actually director of Hunter Park, so I grew up at this park. I grew up playing there. My cousins all played there. My son plays there now. And to have a field named Phillips Field would just be so special. You know, I know that they name things after people and they're dead, but you know, he's living. For us to be able to name this field after him would be it would just mean so much to me personally, and I brag about it, but he's just so iconic in this. I mean, he's in the Douglas County Hall of Fame. He's such a neat man. Real quick story, he took my son and myself to a Rome Braves game last summer. And he has these seats that they give him, and right behind home plate, and we're sitting there, and my Uncle Taylor's in his 80s, and we're sitting there, and a gentleman walks up to him with a baseball and reaches down to him and wanted his autograph. And for my son to see that, and for me to see that personally, however many years it's been since he was, in his prime, it was just touching. I'm taking pictures and putting it on Facebook, but I'm like, here's a man that is vibrant in his 80s, and there are still people that want his autograph. And that was so special, and it really, I see the pictures and I hear the stories, but to see that, and it's like, wow, like he is truly special. And if you ever get an opportunity to sit down with him, you'll just sit and listen, and just the stories he tells, and you just want to sit, and even if you don't like baseball, you'll just sit and absorb these stories, and you'll walk away with a little bit of history. So if we could name this field after him, it would mean so much to me and to his family back there, and the family that is not here with us. But I don't even know if he knows about any of this. We're trying to keep it a secret. So if you could do this for us and to name this field, and it's actually a field that my son's actually hit a home run out of, so that would be pretty cool to us. So thank you, and if you could do this for us, that would mean the world.
Thank you so much. Could you give us your name and address for the record? I know Mr. Oliver did give your form.
It's Jennifer Langley. It's 4374 Highway 166 in Douglasville.
Thank you. Thank you for your service in your community and your family. It's a blessing to have the fiber of generation still in Douglasville. My son played at Hunter Park for 5 years, baseball, so I'm accustomed to being there. Many of us have relatives that played there as well. Does anyone else from the family want to say anything, or we're happy to have you? She did a fine job. Come forward, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Langley. These are really nice. That's my Rotarian brother. You can say your name and address, please, for the record. And
hey, how are y'all?
Doing good.
My name is David Yates, and I actually live in Villarica, but I'm speaking on behalf of my dad, who lives here in Douglasville, too. I grew up here, played ball at Hunter Park since I was little, 5 years old, Super State champs, all the way up till we played American Legion ball. I got to play American Legion ball under Taylor. And if you knew Taylor, you were family. That's why I said, I'm not family, but I am, because if you know him or played under him, he makes everyone that he comes in contact with family. And my son's playing at Hunter Park as well, and I would give anything for him to be able to play for Taylor, just because of it's more than baseball with him. The mentoring that goes into his just daily life of walking alongside you is amazing, and I would give anything for my son to play underneath him. My son's playing on the blue field, which is the field before the red field. So if this field gets named Phillips Field, he'll be playing on that field next year. So it just would mean a ton to our family if this got passed, and that's all I have to say.
Yates. Any other family members?
I just wanted to say a couple of things. Taylor, he does not know about this, and when he finds out the 180 people that signed that petition, he will go to them individually and tell them that they shouldn't have done this. I mean, that's just the way he is. They asked me to sign it, and I said no. I said because me and Taylor go to Hudson's like 3 times a year. I said, and he would cancel that. But he's a great guy, and I'm proud she said he's still alive. He is still alive. And out at Hunter Park, there's 4 fields. This will be the 4th one. And Toombs Webb, of course, and then Harry Chandler, and then Ike Owens, and then now this will be Phillips Field. So, and Taylor came last year and threw out the first pitch for the season, and he came with Terry Harper, and I'm sure with Terry retiring from the school education field, I'm sure his name will will come up pretty soon. And as you know, that's Judge Caldwell's older brother. So I'll just stay out of trouble. So that's her older brother. So, all right. But thank y'all. As my granddad used to say, he's one of the good ones, and that's true about Taylor. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other comments from citizens and delegates?
Madam Mayor, can I comment on that
Oh, yes, sir.
petition?
I apologize.
I'm from Los Angeles, so, you know, I have a different perspective on this. You probably know where I'm going on this, too. Before the World Series winning year in 1957, I understand that he played in the Puerto Rico Winter Leagues with one of my big favorites, Tommy Lasorda. So sure, winning a World Series is nice, especially if you beat the Yankees, that's always good. But to play with Tommy Lasorda, man, that's something. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Okay, yes, ma'am, we'll move on to staff reports.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, I apologize.
can I
Okay.
make that last comment?
I'm sorry, council members.
I
I'm
was
trying to run
holding
over you.
the best for last.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember Phillips, he used to play for Bill Fikes, and he pitched against my father's team to win some pros, and he shut him out. He was just that good. I'm sure Gary Sparks running around there also, but I remember just as good.
That's good. Any other comments from council members? We're enjoying ourselves, so thank you so much. Madam City Manager, staff reports.
No, ma'am, we have none tonight.
Okay, are we going to adjourn back into,
If you wouldn't mind adjourning your meeting, and then Councilman Adams could reconvene his committee meeting for this one item.
okay, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the legislative work session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, this meeting is adjourned.